Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the New Hampshire Business Show. My name is Chris Pastrana, and today we're here with Raya Al-Hashmi of Raya on Assignment. How's it going?
It's going great. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Because we've met it before at least once, and I've always wanted to have you on the show. And now that I'm in Hampton at co-work, I figured we'd do that.
It's super convenient. Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks.
No problem. So let's get started. Tell me a little bit about yourself and the business.
Absolutely. So I love to kind of start at the beginning. I think that's a good place to start, right? Like, where are you born? That's what I always ask people when I do interviews for people of Portsmouth, one of my projects I work on. So I'll start from there. Mm-hmm. I was born in Portland, Oregon, and shortly after that I moved to Oman. It's a small country right under Saudi Arabia, and I lived there for a few years. And then I moved to England, where I lived for about 5 years. Yeah. And then I moved to the Seacoast when I was about 8. Okay. And I've been here ever since. I went to university here at University of New Hampshire, and I studied journalism. And about over 2.5 years ago is when I started Raya on Assignment, which is a personal and business brand photography company. Okay. And that means basically I work with anywhere from the entrepreneur to the international corporation, and I help to tell their story, help share their brand, the people, the products, the services, the space that they have. I tell that all visually and kind of just help them with that. So we are focusing mostly on their website and social media content.
Okay, cool. So that is a lot of moving for being so young.
Yeah.
Do you think that has changed your life at all?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's wild, and I think the older I get, the more I understand how that is not the normal, and kind of, the pros and the cons that moving that drastically 3 different continents before the age of 8 in 3 completely different cultures. Yeah. And then not only that, my dad was studying as we were growing up. He was getting his doctorate degree, so what that dynamic was of not having him in the house. And then when we moved to the States, he didn't move with us. So just like growing up without a dad and, being raised by just my mom, there's 3 of us in the house. So absolutely that plays a lot in some negatives for sure. And then some positives of kind of sparking my love for journalism, which is what I studied, and being so curious about people and how they live, and really how there's no better way than not. No culture is better than another, and there's no better way to live than another, and really realizing that and trying not to judge and realize people live the way they do because it works. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So let's get into the brand photography, because I know a lot of photographers like to specialize, but you kind of you're pretty broad with what you take care of.
Yeah, so when I started full-time over 2.5 years ago, I was definitely shooting everything, anywhere from babies to weddings to family photo shoots to business work. Yeah. And I think that is pretty typical for photographers when they start out. I think it's important to, really figure out what you're good at, what you naturally are drawn to, what you feel like you are just producing better work in which area. So I think that's important. And then as you're going to that, reflecting after each shoot and seeing, did I enjoy that? Was that fun? Did I do well? Are the images strong? And seeing if there's any, relatability between one shoot and the next, where you're finding that commonality of what you're better at and what you like more. So throughout this 2.5 years, I'm really not only being more attracted to the business and personal branding, but I feel like that's really where my work is strongest, where I'm producing the best images. Yeah. So I've actually, really started to say no to those other parts of photography, like weddings. I have officially retired from, which I'm really excited about. And I'm excited for the wedding photographers out there that love it. I'm excited to keep being able to refer people to them, and I think that's important to recognize what your genius is, what you're really good at, and hone in and get even better at that, and let other people who love those other parts have more of that. Yeah. So yes, within the business and personal branding world, I'm still pretty diverse in what I take on, anywhere from yoga instructors to medical device companies, and really it's across the board. But if you break it down, it's the same mission. It's figuring out what makes them different, what makes what they do special, why they love doing it, And with my journalism background, I feel like I'm good at kind of getting in there and drawing that out of people and showcasing it. And one of the most strong ways, which I think is visuals, it's what we as humans feel attracted to, and that's where our emotions can meet.
Yeah. So I've always liked asking these questions because for photographers, there's a lot of creativity involved in it. And so, and since every job is so different, like, how do you go about the creative aspect of it? Do you just walk into a company and you're like, oh, I know what I gotta do?
Yeah.
Or is there like a process involved? Or
yeah, that's great. And I'm a continued student in that way of figuring out like what is the best system and the best practices for this. I think right now there is a good amount on the pre-production part of making sure you're prepared and your client's prepared.
Yeah.
Part of that is maybe, having, we typically have phone conversations before, if not in person, and really helping them reflect on those questions about who they are, why they do this, who they serve, all of that. And with that, I can better understand what my job is and what I need to capture. A lot of what I try to do is break down into scenes. Okay. So, say we're walking into, I'm shooting maybe a salon. What are the different scenes that their client is going to experience when they're walking in? They're gonna see the exterior, so that's what I'm gonna capture. They're gonna have some experience at the front desk, so I'm gonna recreate that scene when I'm there. They're gonna get their hair washed and cut and colored, and so really just figuring out what is someone going to experience, and then how do I capture that in the best way. So I kind of do, I call it carefully curated moments of what really happens. Yeah. So it's like we design it a little bit nicer, but it's very still raw, authentic of what someone will experience. Yeah.
That's really good. That's actually the best explanation of anyone I've had photographers explain how they do go about their stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Still learning. There's so much work around that, and I think that's the best is when after shoot I can really be honest with myself and say, what did I do well there and what could I have improved? And if I feel like I can verbalize like, okay, this is what I feel like I came up short on, and kind of make this promise to myself the next time I'm going to try at least to, with integrity come about that in a better way, then I think I can feel good about the work I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So when you take out a client, how long does it typically take to go from just meeting them to the shoot's done, you have all your stuff, taken care of? Yeah,
that timeline. So I book about typically 2 weeks out. So if I get that initial contact, we'll probably schedule a call within a few days of that. Mm-hmm. After the call, we establish when our shoot time is. So that's probably bringing us to about 2.5 weeks from the initial email. And then there's about a 1 week turnaround period for the images. So about 3.5 weeks, I'd say, from the initial touch point to when their gallery is in front of them and they get to look through and all of that. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, really I try to, that's what people want. Like if they're emailing me, they wanted to do this probably yesterday, or they needed to do this yesterday. They have an article coming out where they need high quality professional photos that are going to be published. So often when people are contacting me, there's some sort of urgency, and I see that, and I'm here to kind of respond to that and help serve in any way I can to get them those images. Working in journalism, I worked for a short period of time in a newsroom, and the turnaround time was insane. Like they wanted those photos for that story, almost on site. Like I would bring my laptop, turn on my hotspot, throw them in Lightroom and turn them around. So I understand that need to see what it is we want to see quick.
That's pretty funny.
With still having like great imagery, great quality, that balance. Yeah.
They want you to completely like unbalance it and be like, yeah, perfect, right now.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Oh, that's too funny. So one of the big things that I dabble in photography a little bit, but I can never do it professionally, is I just like to take pictures of what's going on, kind of, So how do you balance like the creativity portion of it with, say, you said you retire from weddings, but generally there are photos everyone wants to see at a wedding.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure every business has an idea of, oh, I need this type of photo.
Totally.
So you have those like stock, okay, we got to do this,
Yeah.
but you still want to play around and be creative because it's your passion. Like, how do you balance that type of stuff in your life?
That's such a good question. Yeah, I think, again, going back to when I worked in a newsroom, I really had to not shoot for what I wanted to see, but shoot for what my editor needed to see. And that's really just like taking yourself out of your work sometimes, and that's important. And again, what does your client want? And being able to really listen and take yourself out of that. The goal is, though, that someone is hiring me because they like my style, they like my creativity, they like what I'm able to do.
Yeah.
So my hope is I'm going to continue to attract those clients that love the way I shoot, love my creativity, and there won't need to be this weird compromise or contrast. But for the most part, there's going to be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
A little bit of both. And that's cool. And so that's where maybe a passion project comes into play in any profession where you have that outlet that you can like fully express how you want to creatively, and no one's going to be wanting something different.
Yeah. Okay. This is one of my favorite questions.
Yeah.
I have a few that I like to ask because that's one of my favorite ones because I've run into that before.
Totally.
It's everything. It's like, they want this, but you're like, what? This is way more fun.
Yeah. And it's, oh man, it's like, and some people say, I trust you, you're the professional. When I hear that, it makes me feel so good. Like, yes. And you too, like, I don't do the work you do because you're great at it. And I want you to use your expertise. And I think if we can all kind of take that lesson of allow people who are in their field and are experts in that to like fully do it, and just trust that is going to be the best product, not necessarily what you're thinking. I use this word, I go, that's not going to translate well if they're, you know, saying, oh, that's going to be a great backdrop, and they think, oh, it's beautiful and sunny and bright. I'm like, that's not going to translate well. Like, that will be blown out and it won't look good.
Yeah.
There's ways you just gotta have to say it sometimes.
Yeah. It's like, you're wrong. You don't have an eye for this. This is why you're not a photographer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so where are you looking to take all of this? You know, because you said you're developing, you're growing your brand, your style.
Yeah.
Like, are you looking to, you know, keep expanding that, you know, go up, go down? Like, where are you looking to take everything in the future?
Yeah, great question. People ask me that a lot.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that. I struggle with it because even when, like, you know, you're younger and people say, where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? I was like, I hate that question because I'm just trying to, like, get through today.
Yeah.
And I think there's that balance of being present and seeing, like, listening to the pings you're getting of, like, where to move next, what to do next, and not being so tied to any sort of projected goal that's actually not true. But then again, with that, like, having visions and dreams and tangible goals of where you want to get also is important. So I'm trying to see how both of those are valid and where do they marry. I know for sure I'm not super into managing people. So for me to take on someone more than just an intern doesn't feel great. I would rather strengthen and grow who I am and look at other ways to help my brand expand and reach more people through maybe podcasting, online courses, things that are really just centered around myself, my brand, my craft, rather than expanding more, you know, horizontally. I'm thinking more vertically.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see that because I'm kind of the same way where to do a lot of expanding, you kind of take on more people, but at the same time, you don't really want to take on more people.
Right.
So, like, how do you grow a business?
I know.
In that way. So, yeah, I can feel that pain.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty funny. So, I had another question. I totally forgot what it was. So the first time we met, we were doing like a social media class. Do you do a lot of that type of thing, like the teaching and that type of thing?
I think informally I do like kind of like consulting and coaching, kind of just through my social media avenues, and through my Facebook group I have Behind the Assignment, where I try to just give little tips of what I've picked up along the way. And I've gone into a few businesses and kind of coached and helped them with what they're trying to share. it's not where I want to spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
And again, I think there's other people who love that and want to do that. So I think here's the key point. Just because you can do something and you're good at it, don't feel like you have to. And even if people are asking you to, like, that's an honor. That's great. I love that people see me as maybe a resource. And that doesn't mean I have to start offering that.
Yeah.
I think that's valid for people to hear and know that it's okay. Like, you can say no. And you can do it other ways that feel good. So for me, maybe it's not holding tons of events or offering this, but maybe it's through my social media channels or through my Facebook Lives. I can just, when I feel like it, help share.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that. That's a good answer. 'Cause I had to do that. I want to say in the last couple of months, I had to give like a hard no to something, and it was like weird. 'Cause everyone's like, "You gotta do this. You gotta do." Because I hosted a little event. It was like a guest appreciation night, so everyone who's been on the show was invited to come together for a little networking meeting, right?
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and after it was done, everyone had such a good time that I kept getting you gotta do this more often, because I'm like, I'm gonna do it once a year. And they're like, no, we should do it like every couple of months.
Every day.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No. If you want to go to a networking meeting, I have a couple that I can recommend.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So that was
good
that's
job.
for me.
Right, because it was a positive outcome.
Yeah.
People wanted more.
Yeah.
But you heard your own voice, and you know that wasn't going to feel good.
Yeah, like, that was a lot of work to put together, like, the one. I don't want to do this all the time.
Yeah, once a year is more than enough.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally.
So, that's funny. So let's see, what else we got? Oh, we're getting pretty good there. So, people that want to learn a little more from you, reach out, talk, how do they get a hold of you?
Yes, I love Instagram. I think it's such a fun platform. It's a great way to share, and I love using the stories to share with people, like, what does my day look like? So if people want to know more, that's an awesome place to find me. So it's just Raya on Assignment, and I would love to start conversations there. And then on Facebook, Behind the Assignment is my Facebook group that I would love for people to join and follow along. Those are the best places.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Reach out if you need any photography and that type of stuff. So everyone be good, be safe, and I'll talk to you next time.